There he is, Tim Walz. All right, Tim's already given a speech. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm a proud pro-union governor. I'm a proud pro-diversity governor. I'm a proud pro-choice governor. I'm a proud pro-LGBTQ plus rights governor. And I'm a proud pro 100% public education governor. Now, some people may have told you that somebody pro all those things can't win in a place like Kentucky. So as I travel around the country, the number one question that I get over and over is just one word: how? How do you win in a Trump plus 31 state? We win by staying true to our values of compassion, empathy, and doing right by our neighbors, and by focusing on people's most pressing daily needs. Democrats have been outperforming everywhere, and we've been doing so with a relentless focus on lowering costs and making people's lives just a little bit better. And in doing so, we are sending a strong message to Donald Trump, and I know we're going to do it again in the midterms this year. We are going to take back the U.S. House of Representatives, and we are going to flip the U.S. Senate at the same time. And you know that second one, as tough as it is, we can only make happen if we keep the great Senator Tina Smith's seat in Democratic hands. Let's thank her for her service. And I'll admit something. I've watched Michelle Tafoya on the sidelines for years. And that's pretty good practice, because that's where she's going to stay after November. In Minnesota, I know you're going to elect my friend and your fantastic Senator Amy Klobuchar as your next governor. She is going to be great. She is going to be a can-do, get-it-done, absolute force for this state. As the current chair of the Democratic Governors Association, I know a good governor when I see one, and she is going to be amazing. And she's got to win, because when Democrats win, we do something Republicans can't. We govern well. That's because we're focused on important issues like access to health care, child care, lowering energy costs, and making sure everyone can afford a place to live. We are going to keep winning because we have to. I will not leave a broken country to my kids or anyone else's. To do this, we have to make sure we're talking to people and not at them. And we've got to connect to their daily lives. That's how I won counties in eastern Kentucky that normally vote for Republicans by large margins, including Breathitt County. That's the county J.D. Vance pretends to be from. In the South, we try not to say things negative, so let me do it this way. Bless his heart. Donald Trump won Breathitt County by 59 points. I won it by 22 the year before. So I know we can win in tough areas when we lead with what's important to us. My faith teaches me to do what's right for every Kentuckian, whether they always vote for me or never vote for me. To treat them with respect as people who just want to live a good life, doing right by their family, their neighbors, and their community. Democrats have to be the party that is seen addressing America's concerns. I follow what I call the 80-100 rule, which means that while I stand up for all my convictions and fight back against discrimination any and every time I see it, I spend 80% of my time on issues that impact 100% of the people of my state. It's the idea that when people wake up in the morning, they're not thinking about politics or the next election. They're thinking about their job and whether they make enough to support their kids. They're thinking about the next doctor's visit, the school they drop their kids off, the roads and bridges they drive, or whether they feel safe in their community. When we focus on those things, we don't move a state or the country to the right or the left. We just move it forward for everyone, leaving no one out and no one behind. I want to give you an example of what happens when we do that. In 2019, I won Henderson County in western Kentucky, former coal mining town and county, by a slim margin. Since then, we've opened the cleanest, greenest recycled paper mill in the country in Henderson, 350 jobs at almost $40 an hour per job. I told you the mill is in a former coal town, and like so many places in my state and across this country, that had felt forgotten, had felt overlooked. Now, I am the first governor to ever say the following: climate change is real, because it is. But what's also true is the talk of climate justice came before anyone talked about economic justice. And what that meant for too many people in Appalachia and western Kentucky was hearing our party say that coal was bad, and it sounded like we were discounting that they had helped power us to the Industrial Revolution and through 2 world wars. It was like we were looking down on how hard they'd worked for this country. Instead of that kind of dismissal, people there saw my administration showing up over and over in delivering. And I'll never forget the day we broke ground. The owner of that facility zoomed in from Australia. I have no idea what time it was there, because he said the one thing I told him not to say. He said, we're bringing 350, and then he said the phrase, you ready for it? Green jobs. And you know what everybody did? They gave him a standing ovation, because they paid $40 an hour in Henderson, Kentucky. In 2023, in that area that had been slipping away, I won Henderson County by 3 times the number of votes in 2019. So that's how Democrats win again in areas that have been increasingly slipping away. Because we're showing up not to announce red jobs or blue jobs. We show up to announce the chance for 350 families to have better lives with the dignity of a job, being able to see a doctor when they need one, the chance to send their kids to college, to save for retirement. How about to buy a house in the same decade that their parents could many years ago? In other words, we need to revive the belief in the American dream that has slipped away for far too many. And let me tell you, it is possible. Look, since I've been governor, Kentucky's been hit by 15 federally declared disasters. Tornadoes in the west, ice storms, floods in the east. But let me tell you how a Democratic governor rebuilds. In eastern Kentucky, we're moving people out of the hollers, those of the valleys, on top of former coal mines where the water will never reach those families. We're building affordable housing, and we're putting solar panels on top of them. The best part, this will cap utility costs at $50 a month for these families. Yeah. Solar panels on affordable houses, built on former coal mines, done by a Democratic governor in the South. Don't tell me that anything is impossible. We can get the job done. Let me echo something Amy Klobuchar was talking about tonight and make it really clear. The Trump economy is a failure. Americans have paid 90% of his tariffs. They are a tax on the American people that's made everything cost more, and they were illegal from the start. His war with Iran, which he and he alone started, has skyrocketed. The price of gas and diesel making everything more expensive. Every good we ship now costs more. He won't help reduce the price of housing, saying if you can't afford a house, it's because you didn't work hard enough. Tell that to the teachers, firefighters, nurses, and electricians getting priced out of that American dream. 2026 is one of those can't-miss moments, and I'm here to tell you I am all into winning races up and down here in Minnesota and all across the United States of America. By staying focused and governing well, we will win over voters who might be skeptical of the Democratic brand. And speaking of that brand, folks, we must be a party that more Americans want to join. And the language that we use is a part of that. We can't say we're going to meet people where they are and not actually do it. We need language that reflects what we feel in our bones and what we're trying every single day to do. Let me put it in a different way. We need to get back to talking like normal human beings. Now, I want to make sure that I acknowledge that the language that kind of crept into our speak was meant for the right reasons. It was meant to reduce stigma, but we don't reduce stigma by changing words. We reduce it by changing hearts. And we can never look like we're talking down to people. We must be talking to them. Let me give you an example. Kentucky was hit almost harder than anywhere in the country by the opioid epidemic. I know it hit hard here in Minnesota as well. We have all lost people to an overdose, but I didn't lose a single one of them to substance use disorder. I lost them all to addiction. When you hear it, you feel it. It's that mean, cruel killer that took people from my life that should still be here. Or when people are in recovery, when they have overcome that toughest of challenges that I can't even imagine, they deserve credit for going up and triumphing over something so difficult and nasty. Let me give you another example that I know is important to you. That big, ugly bill. We've talked a lot about how it's going to rip health care away from rural areas, about how it's going to be a punch in the face of rural America because that rural hospital is the largest payroll in the community. But it's also going to take food off a lot of tables that you've worked to make sure have enough. If we want to overturn those SNAP cuts, if we want to win the House, if we want to win the Senate, and we want to make sure that those cuts never come into place, it's not that children or seniors are going to be food insecure. It's that they're going to be hungry. That a child can't learn in school because of hunger pangs, or a senior can't sleep at night because they're hungry. Let me give you the latest one that I've been told we're supposed to use. It's called Justice Involved Population. Anybody? All right, stick with me through this. These are our inmates. Now, I believe in second chances. The Bible tells me it's not just what we're supposed to do, it's what we're called to do. So in Kentucky right now, our unions are teaching a skilled trade in every single one of our prisons, and we've got the best reentry services in a lifetime. Smart policy creates good results. We've got one of the lowest recidivism rates in a decade, meaning future crimes aren't happening. There is no victim. Families aren't mourning the loss of someone. But even with all that, folks are inmates. They still call themselves inmates. And this brings me to the last thing, and I think it's the most important. As Democrats, we're always focused on the what. We are really good at our policy, aren't we? We can give you policy point 2, sub point 3, bullet point 4, I underneath it. And it's good that we are people of substance, but we don't spend nearly enough talking about our why. And that why is different for everyone. For me, my why is my family and my faith. I connect it to everything I do as governor. As governor, on my third day in office, I restored voting rights to almost 200,000 Kentuckians who paid their debt to society. Why? Because everyone deserves that second chance. Now, I know that I will never be able to feel the ever-present weight of systematic racism, of inequality and injustice. But I can listen and I can act. So as governor, I removed the statue of Jefferson Davis from our state capitol rotunda. Why? Because a glaring symbol of bigotry and division doesn't belong in any rotunda, in any capitol, anywhere in this country. The current federal administration wants to make diversity a dirty word. They want you to believe that equity means everyone isn't worthy of opportunities. They want to rewrite the hard truths of our history. Listen, we have a president that says that racism doesn't exist while showing us what it looks like every single day. So when my legislature wouldn't, by executive order, I made Juneteenth an executive branch holiday. Why? Because that was an important moment that deserves to be recognized. It was a long time coming, and put simply, it was the right thing to do. But that same day, I signed another executive order modeled after the Crown Act, which prohibits discrimination against state workers for how they wear their hair. Why? Because Black Kentuckians and all Kentuckians deserve to be protected in the workplace. In one of my proudest moments, we opened the first new hospital in West Louisville, our largest African-American community in 150 years. It served 60,000 new patients in its first year, and it's the only 24-hour pharmacy open for miles. As governor, I vetoed 4 anti-choice bills, including one of the most extreme pieces of anti-choice legislation in the country. Why? Because women should be able to make their own health care decisions. I have vetoed every single piece of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation that has come to my desk, including the nastiest anti-trans bill in the country, and I vetoed it in my election year. And the day I did that, I explained my why. I went in front of the cameras and I said, my faith teaches me that all children are children of God. And if my legislature was going to show them judgment, I was going to show them acceptance. If my Republican supermajority was going to show them hate, I was going to show them love. And I just wanted those kids to know that there was a governor who had their back and who cares about them. But here's the amazing thing about what happens when we share our why. So the next day after I vetoed that anti-trans bill, I was in Kentucky opening a factory, because the next day we always have to be opening a factory. That's the 8100 rule. And a guy in a trucker hat makes a beeline towards me. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've been here before. But instead he gets up to me and he sticks out his hand and he says, Governor, I'm not sure I agree with what you did yesterday, but I know you're doing what you think is right. He shook my hand, he patted me on the back, and he said, I support you. So why did that happen? The why gives people the grace and the space to disagree with us on some things, but to understand where we're coming from. I did all those things even though I knew that some people might disagree with me. But I showed them the respect of telling them why I took the actions. But they also know the next day I'd be doing something that we would all agree on, getting back to announcing new jobs, opening a new health clinic, or finishing a new road that cut 20 minutes off each way of their drive to work, 40 more minutes with their families. That's the deal I made with Kentuckians, and that's the deal Democrats should make with the United States of America. So listen, that's a doable path for all of us. Focus, talk normal, and lead with our why. And right now, America needs that type of leadership. Look, Donald Trump is tearing apart our democratic norms, gutting the social safety net, weaponizing our National Guard, fraying our international alliances, and decimating both our intelligence community and public health expertise. He is waging new wars and risking American lives while gas and diesel prices soar on all of us. He is spending most of his time tearing down part of the White House for his stupid billion-dollar ballroom. While most Americans can't pay their own bills. The Voting Rights Act has been gutted, and we are seeing a deliberate attempt to undermine black voting power. As a Southern governor, I'm here to tell you it's wrong and we must fight back. I don't have to tell you to fight back. Here in Minnesota, you saw firsthand the out-of-control actions of ICE. You saw their aggression, how they violated the law and how they took the lives of American citizens and treated non-American citizens with an absolute lack of humanity. I know the hurt is still ever present, and it's raw. These tragedies were foreseeable, preventable, and wrong. They shouldn't be forgotten and swept aside just because of the latest news cycle. Now, of course, we have to secure our borders, but how dare this administration label as domestic terrorists patriotic Americans that they themselves caused the death of through ICE? ICE must be reformed from the top down. Every agent should be recalled and retrained in full. Minnesota, I'm proud of you. I talked about the Golden Rule. You lived it with incredible bravery and service, and you protected your neighbors during one of the most difficult times of my lifetime. Thank you for all your service. Thank you for living your values and your faith. Thank you for being an amazing example to the United States of America. Folks, this is our chance. The cruelty of the Trump administration is providing a huge opportunity for Democrats to go out and regain the trust of the American people, to be the party of common sense, common ground, and getting things done. Democrats can win again. It's just there for the taking. We do this by showing up and getting dirt on our boots and governing well. That's how we rebuild and regain the confidence of the American people. I appreciate all of you for being here tonight. You're here because you know we can do the work and we can win back this country. Like I told you earlier, my faith teaches me the Golden Rule says our neighbor isn't the enemy from within. She or he are our neighbor, just doing their best in a complicated world. And our job is to judge and accept, to not judge, to accept, and to love them the best we can. So let's get back to being each other's neighbors. I am here as proof that when Democrats put people first, when we stand on our values, we can and will win tough elections again. Who Trump is trying to make America ain't who we are. This country deserves better, and so does Minnesota. So are you ready to do the work? Are you ready to win these elections? Are you ready to flip the U.S. House of Representatives? Are you ready to win the U.S. Senate? Are you ready to elect Amy Klobuchar as your next governor? Are you ready to win seats in your state House and Senate? Are you ready to win all across in 2026? And in 2028, let's deliver a Democratic president. Thank you, Minnesota.
I close my eyes. It was all so clear. It was all right then. It was all right here.
All right, folks. All right, as many of you know, I'm married to a high school band director, and if I didn't give you an assignment before you left, I would be in trouble tonight. So your first assignment, you have 3 of them. First, there's a vigil, a healthcare vigil, a vigil to lift up healthcare 3 blocks away in Loring Park. Our labor allies are organizing it. The AFL-CIO convention is here this week. Please get down to that vigil. Your second assignment is to make sure that you sign up for a door knock this weekend as part of our weekend of action. And your third assignment, and this is an important one, we need to elect Amy Klobuchar governor, and we need to elect Peggy Flanagan to the U.S. Senate. Let's go do the work, Democrats. Have a good night.